Welcome to this episode of You've Got This. I am Adam Rushforth, and thank you for joining me. This mini devotional goes along with Mormon chapters 7 through 9. One thing about me that most people don't know is that I love gymnastics. I participated in gymnastics off and on all the way up till and through my sophomore year of high school. And I remember watching the 1996 Olympics with the Magnificent Seven, Shannon Miller, Dominique Moceanu, and many others, and watching them and realizing, whoa, some of them are younger than I am. Well, years later, I learned of another gymnast that caught me by surprise and has been an inspiration to me, and that is Jennifer Bricker. Now, most people probably haven't heard of her. But when she was born, her parents gave her up for adoption because she was born with several birth defects, one of which was that she was born with no legs. And the family that adopted her had a philosophy that you never say the word can't. So when she came to them and said that she wanted to do gymnastics, well, they just figured out how to do it. And they started out when she was about 7 years old, with her learning how to do things on the trampoline. Well, years later, with lots of training, she ended up becoming the Illinois state tumbling champion and went on to do gymnastics and performing as an aerialist professionally, doing headline tours and other tours. And this story impacted me, not only because it shows us how we can overcome obstacles. But it also reminds me, and this is the part I want to emphasize, that these obstacles are and can be catalysts for us to have tremendous growth. So with that perspective in mind, let's jump into this section. In Mormon chapter 7, this is written by Mormon. However, his son Moroni takes over the record keeping and writes chapters 8 and 9. And as I think about Moroni and in the situation that he is in, here he has grown up where they have populated cities and many buildings, yet wickedness is throughout the entire society all around him. And he has grown up loving the Nephite nation and his people. However, now he is in the midst of his people being destroyed. And you can kind of see the lament, the adversity, and the pain that he goes through in chapter 8 as we read verses 2 and 3, which says, "And now it came to pass that after the great and tremendous battle at Cumorah, behold, the Nephites who had escaped into the country southward were hunted by the Lamanites until they were all destroyed. And my father also was killed by them, and I even remain alone to write the sad tale of the destruction of my people." I can't imagine how difficult this was for Moroni to witness the destruction of his people, and then that his father was killed. And then in verse 5, it says that his kindred and friends. Here he was left alone. So one thing I would point out is the fact that his father was a great and righteous man, yet he died. So the takeaway for me from that is that even though one may be righteous, they are not exempt from hard times, tribulations, and even dying. The other thing that comes to my mind is Moroni being alone for a long time. If you look at the chapter heading in Mormon chapter 8, and then the chapter heading in Moroni chapter 10, it seems to indicate that he was alone for at least 20, 21 years, and who knows how much longer. So fast forwarding to our time, and thinking about the year 2020, how this has been a year for many of loneliness, where they were unable to visit family or friends as often or in person or however it may be. And it's been a hard time. Now, jumping back to Moroni, I could imagine, after having witnessed this destruction and then also this period of aloneness, the polishing that can occur and that did occur with him as he refined his character as he turned to the Lord. So now let's turn our focus to the blessings that can come from the catalyst of affliction. Some of the blessings include Moroni being able to finish the record of his father. He also abridged the Jaredite record, which we have in the book of Ether. He recorded the vision of the brother of Jared, which is in the sealed portion of the plates. And he wrote more in his book, the book of Moroni. Now, if we fast forward several hundred years, we know that the Book of Mormon was published and brought to many additional people. And Elder Gong in this last General Conference reminded us that originally 5,000 copies of the Book of Mormon were printed. However, now over 192 million copies have been printed in 112 languages, not to mention all of the electronic copies available, and that there are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in 196 nations and territories. Incredible growth. And I think if all of us suspend the thought process that blessings have to come within like a week or a month after being righteous, we would recognize the tremendous blessings, advantages, and growth that can come if we live faithful, even and maybe because of the tribulations we go through, always relying on Christ to help us achieve this growth. Now, when I think about this for ourselves, I think we can probably see this principle applied in things we've experienced or that others have, where tribulation has helped us become stronger. And when I listen to some motivational speakers, I've heard the phrase, the adversity advantage, which makes sense to me. And this principle is also and was also mentioned several times in General Conference. For example, President Eyring quoted Doctrine and Covenants, section 58, verses 3 and 4, which state, "Ye cannot behold with your natural eyes for the present time the design of your God concerning those things which shall come hereafter, and the glory which shall follow much tribulation. For after much tribulation come the blessings." And President Nelson put it this way in his talk in General Conference: turbulent times are opportunities for us to thrive spiritually. They are times when our influence can be much more penetrating than in calmer times. I know that Moroni saw our day. The things that are in the Book of Mormon are written for our time to help us through our trials. And just like Jennifer Bricker, who overcame, and not just overcame obstacles, but allowed those obstacles to help her become even better. I remember one of her comments was that there were certain aerial tricks that she could do that others couldn't because she did not have legs that got in the way. Well, for each of us that will go through trials, my invitation is for us to come to the Lord and ask for His help to help us turn our adversities to our advantages. It may be difficult, but it is worth it. So remember, you've got this because He's got you.